What is going on, Don't Unfriend Me Nation? Leroy is in the house. We'll be taking you to, yes, the 2100 hour. Olivia is off tonight. And no Amy as well. But we are here, and we are going to bring you all the wonderful joys of the last 24 hours. Man, I'll tell you what, is it nice to have a president that actually does something and who's up? The guy was up till like 2:30 last night. Was up at 0500, and he hasn't stopped. It's kind of a cool thing. Yeah. Let's kind of go over what we're going to talk about tonight. Eli Crane has stepped in for the January 6th pardonees, even though it's not officially the term. But all the 1,500 that were pardoned in the 1,600 or 16 commuted sentences, a lot of them in the J6 prison in D.C. were unreleased. And the Freedom Caucus, Eli Crane, Navy SEAL, has been on the show, went down there and raised hell. We're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about the Elon Musk Nazi salute heard around the world. Oh, God, give me a break. There's only two genders and people are melting down. Going to point out some hypocrisy, all that type of stuff. Real quick, Constitution of the United States, officially in stock, only thedumbshow.com. These are the ones that are in library. Different one. These different one, Leroy. Different one, Leroy.
Oh, look at that.
The Library of Congress. These are unreleased. 144 pages. We only have a couple left. We are shipping them. I'll tell you more about the book when we get on. In 3 minutes. See you then. Would not mind getting it shared out to Twitter. We'd appreciate it if you guys would send out a holla to Twitter and let's get some viewers on there. We've been averaging about 80 to 125 a night. Already have a good Facebook presence, and YouTube's starting to get in. So let's go get those Twitter people. Thanks, guys and girls. And Rumble just got announced, so that's good too. Rumble is officially now announcing anyone who follows the page doing a announcement broadcast, which helps. So we've been seeing our Rumble numbers do well. Anyway, here's the rest.
Do you want the truth? Are you tired of being so confused? You feel like you're more fucked up than the lies on the evening news? Well, just step right in. We can talk about it all as friends. And if you want, we can hug and kiss and make up for the party ends. Agree or disagree, stop arguing me. 'Cause I'm everything you want, damn sure what you need. I won't tell no lies, back up all the facts with truth. And if you can't get down with that, you must be somebody's dog.
Hey, Matt, congratulations on your success, brother. And I really appreciate you giving, both sides, and just free speech, the opportunity to have a platform, dude.
Got it. You got it. Thanks for everything you've done for this country, Eli. We'll talk next time. Tell Jen hello, and I'll have this ready in a couple of hours, and you can share it and take a look. I thank you, man.
Thanks, brother.
All right. Bye-bye.
Adjusting transmitter output.
This is the Don't Unfriend Me Show with your hosts, Matt, Leroy, Amy, and Olivia. Geopolitics, military analysis, and election coverage. Coming to you live on all major social media channels at The DUM Show. Honest, direct, unfiltered. We can agree, we can disagree. Just don't unfriend me.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Don't Unfriend Me Show. Leroy is in the house. I'm in the house, and we are going to talk about a bunch of crazy stuff. How do you feel, man? I mean, I haven't had a chance to talk to you after the inauguration. It's been, I don't know.
We've all had, what I feel like it's been a pretty crazy couple of weeks, but specifically after the inauguration, I mean, I feel like half of the country feels infinitely better about things that are happening politically, and the other half are just losing their minds. I am in the half that is enjoying all of this. So,
yeah, it's kind of, I don't know. It's been a long road, you know. I mean, it was kind of tough. We were kind of like, well, I don't know if we're going to see Donald Trump back, and if he is, how's that journey going to take place? It was crazy. So let's get some catch up here. We had an interesting day yesterday as we were suspended from YouTube for no reason. And it looks like we were one of the only channels to get suspended. And the reason they gave is, well, we're sorry. Sometimes we make mistakes. And I'm like, so on one of the most important days, like literally the Super Bowl, you decide to ban my show in the middle of it. And all you can say is you're sorry. So it's just typical. It's what we've come to expect. But the good news is I fought it. We won. And let's hope that it's going to get a little bit better. Now, interesting thing, I was looking at Tim Kennedy's page, who is Special Forces, Green Beret, and MMA fighter. And I guess he sat with Mark Zuckerberg. It's like, Mark Zuckerberg is one of the sweetest and nicest guys. And I'm like, dude, he's like, my page is like, I can send out my stuff. I'm not getting throttled anymore. I said, well, it must be nice to have access, because he's still throttling all conservative voices. I still don't have stars. I still don't have reels. We're making an infinitesimal amount from Facebook, and viewers have like the one thing I never wanted to do was ask for donations. We're now doing the donations thing. Leroy looks jaundiced. Let me see. It's his camera. It's not me. There's nothing I can do.
Sitting a little far back from the lights is what I think it is.
Carry on. There we go. No. How about that? No.
Oh.
No. Okay, so let's just do...
Now I look like Trump.
Yeah. Let me see. Here, this is what we'll do. We'll just turn that down, and we'll turn his gamma up, and there it is. That's the best we can do. I talked to him before the show, and I'm trying to get Leroy to get his ass in gear and get more space so I can send him this camera, which is essentially my backup camera, but whatever. So
we'll get there. We'll get there.
I know.
Promise you.
I'm impatient. So it's been a crazy day. Now, I made a post, and people are mad at me. I've actually lost followers. I'm almost, oh my God, I'm going to drop below 109,500. And I had it up to like 61, but I lost like 60 followers today because people, I hate to say it, they're dumb. And I'm not, I get that all the time. Matt, why are you belittling people? Why do you belittle? Because I have some very dumb followers sometimes. And it doesn't mean anyone here, but this isn't hard. I mean, how can you take this and think that I am trashing Elon Musk?
Right.
What I'm doing is showing you that the liberal hypocrisy and the media narrative. And then I wrote an article on Dumb News today. So before we get into this, let you guys know we have a goal tonight for the Dumb Show. You can go to thedumshow.com/donate. Help the show out if you like the show. It's your first time watching, or you've watched a million times and you're like, oh my gosh, tonight's the night. January, February, March are usually the 3 slowest months for us, and then it starts to pick up. So helping us out with donations is how we go ahead and survive. So thedumshow.com/donate if you would not mind. And it doesn't matter whether it's $1, $5. Hell, we've had people give $2,500. It's up to you. and you guys get to decide what you want to do, and don't give till it hurts. Do it when it feels good. Don't force yourself. You don't have to pay for this show. It's always going to be free. But we do ask that if you have the means and you want to, help us out. And you get something for your money, always. You get to see us and hear our appreciation. You can also leave a message. Olivia will be monitoring. So now when you post your donation, you can write a message each time you do. And you'll right here. Just because you guys are appreciated for everything you do, love you. And your message will be displayed. And there it is. How sweet. Okay. Now that we know about that, I think Jordan Peterson just commented on one of my posts. I think that's what I just saw.
Commented on plenty of his.
Yeah, but it'd be nice to get Jordan Peterson love, I think I could handle that. Because it just said somebody with 1.2 million followers named Jordan Peterson. I'm pretty sure that's the only Jordan Peterson that I know. Commented on the post. I'll have to check that out. So that whole thing with Elon Musk, that meme was wrapped around an article that I did today. And if you go to thedumnews.com, you can actually see my articles are maybe one or two a week now. I don't do it every day. But when I get the urge to write something down, I do. So if you go there, you can see that there's an article, and it's cleverly named. And I'm going to toot my own horn, say that it's cleverly named, as How Can They Not See Their Bias?
That is cute.
And yes, thank you. And this whole thing is laid out for you, so you can take a look. And it explains the history of why Elon Musk and Donald Trump are the two worst Nazis on the planet. The worst.
Oh, they didn't just, they outdid Hitler. I don't know how you do that.
Yeah.
How you out Adolf, old Adolf, but they did it. And that's amazing. Yes.
Most assuredly. And here is just a little passage from this, because we're going to be talking about this quite a bit tonight, to be honest. And it says, it's worth remembering that Donald Trump, far from being an anti-Semitic caricature painted by his detractors, he was one of the most pro-Israel presidents in American history. Under his administration, the U.S. formally recognized Jerusalem as the capital of Israel, a decision that had been delayed for decades despite overwhelming bipartisan support. His administration moved the U.S. Embassy to Jerusalem, fulfilling a promise that numerous presidents before him have made, and then failed to deliver. He facilitated the Abraham Accords, fostering peace between Israel and several Arab nations, and groundbreaking achievement in a region long defined by hostility. Trump's record shows a leader who not only supported Jewish communities, but also actively strengthened ties with Israel. And yet we are expected to believe that a man who stood shoulder to shoulder with Jewish leaders and took bold action for the Jewish state is somehow aligned with Nazism. It's also foolish. Here are the videos so we can kind of see the craziness. Now, there's a few things you need to know about Elon Musk. He has Asperger's. And Leroy, would you walk us through what Asperger's is? Not the clinical,
Sure.
but just give me a high level.
Sure. So Asperger's it's one of those diagnoses that lives on the spectrum. You can have autism, you can have Asperger's. Many people align it with something like a mild form of autism. And so certainly when someone has that, they would typically be considered high functioning, but to some degree they may appear to be socially awkward and yet brilliant. And, if that doesn't define Elon, I don't know what does.
It certainly does. There was a point where they zoom in on him in the inauguration last night, and it really struck me. Sorry, I brought my volume up a little bit. Is you saw his eyes flickering back and forth as he was staring off in space, and a lot of people are like, oh, he's on Adderall, and no, that's what autism is. I mean, he literally is having 1,000 thoughts run through his head at 150 miles an hour, and he's trying to go ahead and segment and compartmentalize. He thinks differently. And you have to give him the understanding that he's going to be eccentric at times to what you consider normal. I'm sure he finds you to be the same way. Here's Elon Musk. This is the clip that's going around. They literally gave it 3 seconds. So you immediately know when they do this, it's going to be a setup because they're taking a clip, just like I took those photos. And I want to be clear:
Right.
Obama, Bush, Kamala Harris, Hillary Clinton, they weren't giving a Nazi salute either. They were doing a hi, like a hello. And from someone shooting underneath with a camera, it looks like I'm doing it right now, but I'm literally like reaching out and just like, hi, hey, not Heil. And those are opportunistic moments that were captured on camera. This is an opportunistic moment that was captured on video and clipped. But here is what they're saying. I'm going to watch it a couple times. So he grabs his heart. Now, the question is, that looks bad.
Oh, it looks terrible.
Of course, because you clipped it that way. But here is what he had said. My heart goes out to you all. I've never heard a Nazi say that. He may say, I'm going to go ahead and remove your heart from your chest cavity and go ahead and throw it in an incinerator or something.
No,
but
no, absolutely. I mean, the only thing I've ever heard anything that was quoted like that from an actual Nazi was get in that oven, you know?
Right. Or, hey, what happened to Camp 49? Oh, they had some bad gas, you know, something like that. The bean could turned on them. Some shit like, you know, listen, we're not making fun. I can do this. I'm German and have Jewish blood, so fuck off. But it comes down to, it's not funny, right? But it is funny because this is what they did. Like the post that I made today was in the notes program on Mac, and most people who've used a Mac understands this. But here it is. Notes: media hoaxes during Trump's presidency. Number 1, Elon Nazi salute. 12 hours in, folks. We're 12 hours in, and automatically we're at
goalposts.
We're right. We're dinging them off the uprights. Hey, Kevin says, God bless America. Yeah, God bless America. Absolutely. Thank you, Kev. That's awesome, buddy. Thank you.
I will tell you, the thing with Elon that I understand his issue, okay? I understand what he was doing, okay? It looks terrible. Please don't ever do that again, right? That being said, for someone from the left to view that and automatically assign that as, all right, not only is he making a Nazi gesture, but we're also associating, there's a second part to that. We're also associating the idea of Nazism with the far right party or with the Republican Party, which is neither one of those is true. And Matt and I, we've discussed this on the show in the past.
Right.
Nazism or real fascism leans far more left. So to get it, to have that interpretation of Elon gets it doubly wrong. And that's the issue.
And we've got, right. And the thing is like there is a content creator that I blasted pretty hard, and Andrew Tate did too. And I don't really like Andrew Tate, but he did crush him. He's like, hey, is this like the time that I showed up to your house and you screamed for me to get away from your home and called the police and cried like a little girl? Because this commentator's like, I studied Nazism. I learned about Nazism in college. I've been to Auschwitz. I am I'm internet famous. And I'm like, dude, you're not internet famous. And I'll challenge my understanding of World War II and the Holocaust over your crap. But so Tate came out and just slammed him. And he's like, this is a Nazi salute. And it's like, dude, no, it's not. Here's Elon's full, because what we don't do is we don't clip stuff and then not show it to you, because that's rude. That's what the media does. They'll take that 3-second. Fox was showing that 3-second clip of Musk and then defending him. I'm like, show the whole speech. Take an entire block and just listen what the guy had to say. So you know what? Right. Guess what, Leroy?
Why would the media ever want to take anything and put it back into context? Why?
I don't know. What are we going to do? We're going to do just that.
I hope.
That's what we're going to do. Listen to this.
Oh, it's just like Adolf's first rally when he played.
Oh, yeah. Do you remember when Adolf played AC/DC and played Hell's Bells? It was,
yes.
Oh God, it was horrible.
It was Back in Black. Only it was back then. It was Back in Brown.
No. Hitler didn't play Back in Black because he also had an affinity to hate African Americans too. Even though, surprisingly enough, Hitler treated Jesse Owens and several others as almost heroes when they did meet. But not that makes Adolf Hitler a good guy. But I was trying to make a black reference, but that didn't work. Let's watch.
This is what victory feels like. Yeah! And this was no ordinary victory. This was a fork in the road of human civilization. Okay. This you know, there are elections that come and go. Some elections are, you know, important, some are not. But this one this one really mattered. And I just want to say thank you for making it happen. Thank you. My heart goes out to you. It is thanks to you.
Wow, amazing. What a little bit extra, just a little bit of extra in extraordinary creates. Here's the rest.
That the future of civilization is assured. Thanks to you. We're going to have safe cities, finally, safe cities. Secure borders, sensible spending, basic stuff. And we're going to take Doge to Mars. I mean, can you imagine how awesome it will be to have American astronauts plant the flag on another planet for the first time? Bam! Bam! Yeah!
See, a lot of people say, well, he doesn't have the talent for public speaking. He has Asperger's.
Right.
He's on the spectrum. He's autistic. Right. He's highly functioning, but he does not communicate in a way that seems normal to you. A lot of people he seems simplistic. He plays Diablo. He's ranked the top 20 in the world in Diablo 4.
Well,
okay, go ahead.
Take a look at his hand gestures, even after he did the "My heart goes out to you," which didn't look great. But if you're looking at his hand gestures, and I do it too, right? Sometimes I talk with my hands a little bit. When you look at his hand gestures, they're very energetic and they're all the way out, right? He is excited. He is exuberant. And at this point in the game, he is happy to be in the position where he's at. So I understand the immediate reaction to say, oh my God, wait, what did he just do? But that's as far as that reaction should have gone.
Right.
Then take the rest of the comment in context and go, okay, I get it. Didn't look good, but I get it. You know,
it's just okay. The Nazi trope is so tired because what happened was Democrats. Okay, they tried racist, they tried xenophobic, they tried homophobic, they tried sexist and misogynist and anti-feminist. None of those things really had the vitamin pack punch that they were looking for. And so when they decided we have to shift gears, let's go ahead and do what the conservatives have never been known for, which is to label them as the party of racists. Right. And this whole switch, how they talk about the overall the party switch that never took place. This narrative began that the South fundamentally just went ahead and switched for Goldwater and the racists voted for a Republican. And that is absolutely true. Democrats were losing majorities of votes. They were losing a lot of the white middle-class American. And they started realizing that they could, as Lyndon Baines Johnson decided to start catering to black people and promoting welfare and a lot of things that the Republicans did in the 1940s, which was, paid family leave, extended leave, food stamps, welfare, all of these type of things of subsidizing people, and that the Republicans were very unpopular from like 1934 all the way to 52. They hardly won an election. They had no Supreme Court seats. They very rarely had the majority in House or Senate. Presidency was a hot mess, and a lot of that has to do with WW2. We understand that with Dwight, or not Dwight, but FDR holding office. Right. FDR, holding office for 4 years. But Democrats realized that once Republicans kind of shifted, there was a huge opportunity for them to go ahead and start curtailing to the blacks and minorities. And by doing that, they expand their party base. And it was very successful. But for people to assume that the entire South just switched their mentality all of a sudden and all the senators and House legislatures, it's never happened. It never happened. In fact, they didn't vote for a Republican for 20 years. So now the adage is, well, wait a second. Now that we've brought that up and shut them down there, they now say, oh, it's been generational change. So what you're saying is it's not that the South advanced finally, which was about 20 to 30 years behind the North in the Civil War from an infrastructure standpoint, from an education standpoint, and just an overall understanding of pomp and circumstance. They were definitely behind as a society of civilized people compared to the North that was more English bred. A lot of the money went north, and the South were more of the poor and the downtrodden, similar to the middle of the country now. And what you got was them saying, well, the parties simply switched, instead of saying that the South advanced. The South shed racism. It shed the Klan. It shed the Daughters of the Confederacy. It shed the rebel flag. And although still has certain strength in areas in the South, they matured. It was a maturation process.
Right.
So instead of sitting here and saying it was generational to hate black people, no, it's a generational change for the South to finally learn that it's voting Republican because it believes that the policies of the Democrats are inherently bad. Bad for white people, bad for black people, and they have been since the Ku Klux Klan and Jim Crow and Japanese internment camps and Manifest Destiny and the Great Replacement theory that we're now saying is happening, which most assuredly is.
You bring up two really great points that I wanted to touch on real quick. First of all, isn't it interesting that every time the Democrats are in charge, when they hold the White House or the Senate, okay, they want all of the power in the world, and what they try to do is force through these really just bold overreaches in executive power, i.e., the Gold Confiscation Act or the Japanese internment camps, right, or the Office of Censorship. That was a good one. That was EO 8985. And then another one that I always liked was the Steel Seizure Act of 1952. So what they do is they love to seize power, right? But then, and here's the flip side of that coin, when the Republicans get into office, all of a sudden they want to limit as much federal power as humanly possible. Isn't that interesting? Whereas at least I feel like the Republicans can be a little more honest and say, look, we don't think the federal government should have that kind of power. Period.
See, the liberal thought process is because Republicans do not curtail every policy to racial inequity and some sort of in my opinion, pity towards minorities, that means they're racist. That's not the antithesis of racism. So because Democrats constantly make things about race baiting and sex and sexual disposition and color and pigmentation of your skin, because the Republicans don't make it about that, that makes them racist. And that is the farthest thing from the truth. In fact, the truth is that Republicans don't see those things because they focus on meritocracy. And we happen to believe in capitalism, where we understand that 49% of America is going to be below or struggling below the poverty line because of their overall contribution to society. But we know that 51% aren't, and that is the best system in the world. It may not be great for you. We would love 100%, but unfortunately, unlike socialism and progressivism, we don't promise that and then only have 3% actually make any money, while 97% of everyone else starves. Equal shares of nothing, or excuse me, as socialism always prescribes, you get equal shares of something or equal shares of absolutely nothing. At least capitalism brings 51%, and those boats rise. And it could be more, because there is no limitation to success in the United States that's based past the merit that you provide. The thing is that there is a very large portion of the population who do not. A lot of it is kids. Some of it is elderly who are retired and no longer work. But then there is a very large demographic that is just inherently lazy and doesn't want to work. We also have disabled people, which obviously are not lazy. But we also have a dredge on society that suck the government's money dry with social programs. And these, unfortunately, are Republicans and Democrats, as it is very addicting to have the government supply you with your career and with your income. And although you will never become rich, the thing is that you'll always have income, and people have become addicted to it.
And think about the results of that too. If someone does become that reliant on the government, when they go to the government and say, hey, I need you to supply me with a job, or hey, I need you to supply me with some level of monthly income, or hey, I need you to supply me with this or that, or, food for the month. Is that liberty? I mean, that's a fair question, right? If you're that reliant on the government, then you are not living in liberty. You are a slave to those who would then feed you.
Right. And this all is rooted in LBJ and the Great Society. And his theory was, in not so many circles, was we're going to go ahead and give those, N-words a little bit of a taste of welfare, a taste of, government subsidies. And we'll have those N-words voting Democrat for the rest of their lives. And guess what? It was true up until last election. And I believe that there is a great shift taking place. And the thing about Democrats is the only demographics that they can get now are convicted felons and kids who are under 18 years of age, which is most assured. And that's what they're going for now. We know that they want felons to be able to vote. Then we know that they want 16 years old for the voting age, because their demographic is dwindling, and they can't relate to the American people anymore because they are no longer the working party. They have become the elitists. And the only reason why people are upset at Elon Musk and these other CEOs and tech billionaires is because they're no longer funding Democrats, and it's scaring the shit out of them. So there's a very big shift happening here.
It's a pretty well-known fact. Maybe it's not that well-known. I don't know. But as people age, as they get older from decade to decade, they become more and more conservative. And so I really think that there's a reason that younger demographic is the only one that seems to still be turning out in larger numbers for the Democrat Party, because they tend to be a little more idealistic.
But it didn't this election.
Right. And that's what's interesting. But it is interesting that, as you get older, you become more grounded in reality, and you realize, oh, well, maybe the world doesn't really work that way.
It's all very good points, and we've got so much to cover tonight. I can't even begin to tell you. one of the things that I wanted just to have people remember is that in the 4 years of Donald Trump and the 4 years of Joe Biden, which predated last night, his inauguration, we got tired. And I think we let our guard down a little bit under Biden, where the 4 years of Trump, we were fervent and we defended him. I think J6 was a little hard for people to defend. I think it bothered people. I think Republicans, even though they say, oh, well, it was all innocent and everybody, and I think all of those people probably should be out of jail right now. I think there's a few who need to stay in jail, and I think he's now have 16 commuted. So I think there's some people who did some pretty nasty things and took it way too far. But I think a lot of them have served their time, and I think it's fine. If you can go ahead and commute your entire family who is corrupt and has made hundreds of millions of dollars off of China, Saudi Arabia, and other countries, I think you can go ahead and say, all right, let's do this. I think if you can go ahead and forgive BLM and not bring charges up against murderers and rapists and allow illegals to come in and kill our citizens, I think we can go ahead and say these J6ers will be marred for the rest of their lives. They have to carry this cross. But you know what? I think we can go ahead and stop treating them as terrorists and treat them like with habeas corpus and due process like they should. And since that wasn't taking place, he pardoned them. And you know what? I really don't care. I just don't care. But what I do care about is us staying resolute. I think COVID wore us down. I think we got a little frustrated with the vaccines and the lockdown. Trump had a lot to do with that. He gave Fauci the Medal of Freedom, folks. Presidential Medal of Freedom, if you didn't know. Trump made some bad decisions in COVID. Whether you agree with that or not, we held him accountable on this show. A lot of shows didn't because they want the money. The money is coming, and I didn't have to go ahead and say things that changed my values. I was hard on Trump, but in retrospect, it was very difficult. It was very difficult. Yeah, fair. It was a difficult time for any president to handle, but I think we waned a little bit. And then we got beaten up by Biden, and it just, no matter what we did, we were always Nazis and white supremacists and Christians who were nationalists and hated black. And we're just like, none of this is true. We were shut down on Facebook and Twitter. Our livelihoods were taken away. We were banned. We had our voices taken away. And I think it got to be constant hitting. Mm-hmm. And I think with these 4 years, we have to learn a very valuable lesson, is that our liberal kung fu is exceptional right now, and we should not forget how to use it. And we need to get out there and challenge the narrative. We need to go ahead and call these things out. Don't let anything slide. If they start saying things, this show is going to hold them accountable. Exactly. And you need to as well. Go ahead, Leroy.
No, I was saying exactly. Not only do I 110% agree with you, but something else you had said about 5 minutes ago in your discussion, that battle over the middle class, over the idea that one party should be more popular in the middle class than the other. 10 years ago, 20 years ago, sure, you could have made that argument that if you would ask the average Joe Schmo off the street, hey, who's the party for the middle class? Most people probably would have said, oh, that's the Democrat Party. I think that narrative has been challenged a lot. And I would go so far as to say that when you read the last two party platforms, specifically the Republican Party platform and the Democrat Party platform, most of the points that are listed in the Democrat Party platform are really just, if you read the entire message, it's one of, we're not Trump and he sucks. But when I would point you towards the Republican Party platform, and on point number 5 of that platform that was just published, right? Point number 5 says, stop outsourcing and turn the United States into a manufacturing superpower. Who's going to do all that manufacturing? Right. The middle class. So once you start to read beyond what you're being told in the general media, I think more and more people are starting to realize that.
Yeah, so this is a great topic because this really kind of takes us into tonight, where I don't want to make this. Listen, I think Republicans should have honest conversations with each other. I think conservatives need to rebrand the party, and we need to set the parameters of conversation of what should be discussed. I don't think Democrats should have any influence on who we are or what we do, and very rarely am I going to bring their voice of opposition into this show. But what I am going to say is conservatives have to start challenging each other more. We have got to remember who we are. We are the party of law and order. Nobody should be celebrating J6. Nobody should say, this was awesome, because it wasn't. I don't condone any of those things. Now, there may be a time and a place for those things. There may be a time for armed conflict. It's certainly not now. I told you what I thought you should do. I said you should vote. And everyone was like, it won't work. It did work, because we did it with Governor Youngkin, and I told you we could get Trump back in office. I will only stand on what I've said for the last 4 years, and I'm sorry, I have been right 99.999% of the time when it came to all of this. And the one thing that y'all said was stolen election. Oh, well, they just decided not to steal it this time. Folks, enough. We need to be smarter as a party. We need to stop being so gullible. We need to stop buying into things that aren't accurate. We need to hold the liberal media accountable, and we have to stop feeding on each other. Real quick intermission into this is I wanted to show you. Just got an email, just popped up from Mr. C.J. Jenkins, who bought the Sherpa blanket in this wonderful snowy weather, and got the DUM Nation Sherpa blanket and just got it. It's huge. It's a very big blanket. It is. He says,
It'll keep you warm.
Shut up. My blanket arrived today, and I am very happy with it. Oh my goodness. It's so warm, and it has a pocket. I love it. Thank you for all that you do. Listen, the one thing that we have is great products. So if you haven't been to the DUM Show, please stop on by. Also, folks, real quick, we don't talk about it the whole show, but thedumshow.com/donate. We have a ton of people on. Looks like we've got 165 people, 90 on Facebook, 16 on YouTube. That's a little low, but we've got about 49 on Twitter, and a shit ton on Rumble. So thank you so much. Karen also says, my shirts, she received her shirts today. Can't wait to try the Tomahawk coffee in the morning. Great. I'm glad everyone's getting their stuff, mailing out books and documents of freedom, including the Constitution of the United States of America, 144 pages, leather bound. Inside, they have all the amendments, the entire Constitution, along with large print for all of our older people. And then back here, it's actually got a section that has the photographs of the Constitution, so you can look at that. And then biographies with all the framers, every single one of them. And you learn all about them. We're the only ones that have this. This is usually in the National Archives and the Smithsonian. You see these books all the time, like Leroy's Constitution right there by Arcadia Publishing from the Documents of Freedom. This is the full-size version, and this is not in Washington yet. You can see his is pleather. This is leather. Leather. It's available right now at thedumshow.com. We're the only ones that have it.
Leather.
All right. Corinthian leather. All right. So I want, there's so much to do, holy moly, tonight. So I'm trying to figure out the order. Okay. There is a new thing coming after Pete Hegseth, and it is, of course, the media. And Pete Hegseth's former sister-in-law, which is the ex-wife's sister, has presented the Senate with a sworn affidavit, which is an official legal statement of declaration under questioning and oath, which is recorded and then processed as an official statement, that Hegseth's behavior during the marriage caused his second wife to fear for her safety. And of course, everyone says, he's finished. That's it. This is enough now. But I want to let you know that I've dug up something. NBC, on the back article of this, which you do not see anywhere on these posts, during the Senate receives affidavit containing new allegations. Inside here, all the way at the bottom, thank you, JD, says, having some fun. Great show. Thanks, buddy. Right here, buried, and I'm going to blow this up for you. In an email response Monday, Hegseth said, first and foremost, I have not and will not comment on my marriage to Pete Hegseth. I do not have representatives speaking on my behalf, nor have I ever asked anyone to share or speak about the details of my marriage on my behalf, whether it be a reporter, a committee member, a transition team member. She added, I do not believe your information to be accurate, and I have carbon copied my lawyer. You sons of bitches ran with this story anyway. You have an affidavit where someone is sworn under oath who is blatantly lying because the actual affidavit is about Pete Hegseth's ex-wife, who then openly declared in the same breath, I think you have inaccurate information and I'm carbon copying my lawyer. I am not on the record. I don't agree with this. I think you've got bad information. And she is denying that Pete says she was afraid of Pete Hegseth in any way, shape, or form. It's ludicrous. Here is the video. I want to play it for you.
Hegseth, in which both of them
an affidavit.
So let's get to the truth.
Which contains new allegations against President Trump's pick for Secretary of Defense Pete Hegseth. Yesterday, the Republican-led Senate Armed Services Committee voted along party lines and sent his nomination to the full Senate for confirmation. Of course, that was before these new details emerged against Hegseth, a former Fox News host and military veteran. Joining us now, NBC News Capitol Hill correspondent Julie Sirkin, who has new reporting on this. Julie, tell us more about these allegations here.
Well, the allegations so far are in this affidavit that are being viewed by senators. They detail potential abuse that Samantha Hegseth experienced at the hands of Pete Hegseth. I want to be clear that we were in contact with Samantha, who is, of course, the second wife of Pete Hegseth, his ex-wife, who said that she has not experienced physical abuse at the hands of her ex-husband, who is now days away, potentially, from being confirmed by the Senate to be Trump's Secretary of Defense.
See, do you see what they just did there? They claimed it was physical abuse and then say physical abuse. Oh, but now they're leaving the insinuation that it could be mental abuse. They simply should have said this affidavit that went during our investigation has held no merit based upon the person that the affidavit is about, has denied all claims that there was any abuse in the relationship. We will follow up with this story. By the way, Pete Hegseth's confirmation has moved to the Senate, and this could have an impact if further details demonstrate or other people come out and say that there was abuse. But as right now, we found absolutely none. That's the proper story, but the sons of bitches want to sell newspapers.
Well, and it's curious, too, because they're running the whole thing with this kind of sleight of hand that basically says, all right, we have, by way of this third person, this third party. In other words, this is hearsay that this person is saying so-and-so might have been abused, but in no way, shape, or form did we find any physical abuse, which is a great way for a news organization to look at you into the camera, wink, wink, and go, really, it's physical abuse. And we just haven't found it yet. And so that's the game that they play. It's a shell game with this information to try and get you to lean in a specific way.
Yeah. It's complete rubbish. Here is a perfect example of more fake news. So this was reported by CNN, who are saying that Elon Musk's Nazi salute. So I'm going to call these things out. They've got a lot to show you. Elon Musk's Nazi salute and the celebration of it by domestic neo-Nazi and white supremacist groups. Trump is dog whistling to his people. And now, by releasing the January 6 people with the pardons and the God, what's the other word? I can't believe I'm dropping the ball on this. Not segmented sentences, not deferred. I just said it like freaking 20 minutes ago. Commuted. Thank you. Sorry, commuted sentences. That now he has a standing army to release his will upon the American people. So what he's saying is he's going to use the Proud Boys and these 1,500 people as a standing army to overthrow the government. This is what they're saying. This is how deranged these people are. Listen to this. Mr. Murphy, who is essentially a panty-waist dingleberry. I don't like to call people. Yes, I do. I love to call people names, but this is
What do you think?
This is stupid. Listen to this. And Elise Stefanik,
Elon Musk.
lady, I don't know where you may have went to a spa for a couple of weeks, but damn, Elise Stefanik, you're looking good. I'm going to say that. I mean, you know, okay, but you look good. Just saying. If she watches the show, there's rumors that she's seen the show. Gotta say it. Wife's not here tonight. I can say you look good. Olivia's not going to get upset because Olivia said you look good too. But here's Mr. Murphy trying to bring the Nazi salute into the conversation to bring us back to where we first started. Here it is.
Perhaps the president's most visible advisor doing 2 Heil Hitler salutes last night at the president's televised rally.
No, Elon Musk did not do those salutes. I was not at the rally, but I can tell you I've been at many rallies with Elon Musk, who loves to cheer when...
She looks good. Just saying, the hair, the makeup, she's looking good. She's always been, you know, something, but she's full-figured, good-looking woman. Just saying. Like, I appreciate it. I appreciate it. Ann Brains, here she is.
President Trump says we need to send, our U.S. space program to Mars. Elon Musk is a visionary. I'm looking forward to his work in DOGE, the Department of Government Efficiency, and look forward to looking how we can be more efficient and effective. But that is simply not the case. And to say so is the American people are smart. They see through it. They support Elon Musk. We are proud to be the country of such successful entrepreneurs. That is one of our greatest strengths as Americans.
Always
Let me share with you what a few Americans have said about it. Evan Kilgore, a right-wing political commentator, wrote on X, "Holy crap, did Elon Musk just Heil Hitler at the Trump inauguration rally? This is incredible.
Kilgore.
We are so back." Andrew Torba, who's the founder of the right-wing Christian nationalist social platform Gab, said incredible things are happening as he amplified the visual.
Here comes Nick Fuentes.
Proud Boys chapter in Ohio posted the clip on its Telegram channel with the text "Heil Trump." A chapter of the white nationalist group White Lives Matter posted it on Telegram. "Thanks for hearing us, Elon. The white flame will rise again." I could keep going. Over and over last night, white supremacist groups and neo-Nazi groups in this country
Who cares?
Rallied around that visual.
Who cares? Who cares? They're a bunch of douche plows. Nobody listens to these fuckheads. Go ahead, Leroy. Sorry, I cussed again.
If a series of criminal groups, terrorist group, that's a great example, actually. If a string of terrorist groups actually sat down on X and endorsed Kamala Harris.
Oh, you mean Hamas?
Biden,
you mean Hamas?
If any
Palestinian
of that
supporters?
If any of that had actually occurred, right, then why don't you raise the red flag for that? Or is it just that you recognize that there are morons who live out on the interweb, and then when they say stupid things, what you do is look through your political lens in the best way possible to use that against the opposing party? Is that what you do, sir?
That's correct. and we know it. And so if white nationalists, David Duke has been doing that for 35, 40 years.
Right.
So David Duke endorsed Trump in 2016, and Trump's like, I don't even fucking know who he is.
Right.
Nick Fuentes came to dinner because Kanye wanted to, and I'm not calling him that stupid name, Kanye West, and whatever his stupid name is now. He showed up with Fuentes and Stephanopoulos, not Stephanopoulos, Yilo Monopoulos, who had a resurgence for 5 minutes as he got in a bitch fight with Laura Loomer, and thank God he's went back into obscurity. There's nothing like a homosexual reinvented / found God / hate Jews / love Jew. I doesn't know who he is. But these guys, who cares?
Right.
Why give them air? My God. I mean, listen, I'm not anything special. Leroy's not anything special. In fact, we do this, and we would probably be, like, if we were to be ranked in a job, like, you got janitor, good job, hard work, fry cook, amazing, waiter, waitress, line cook, all respectable jobs. Then you've got like middle management, like store manager, front end manager, shift supervisors, essentially non-executive. Then you got like district managers, regional managers, vice presidents, which are executives. Then you got CEOs. In the scheme of things in the podcasting world, we're kind of like a middle management. We're like DMs and regional managers. And although we're doing well and financially we're being taken care of by our listeners and Wimkin and other things, we're not, and we're global, we're not a household name. But I tell you, people know who we are. Just like they know Damani. They know Damani Felder. People know who Damani is. People know who we are. But not to the level of Ben Shapiro. Not to the level of Jordan Peterson. Not to the level of Joe Rogan. Those guys are like CEOs. And maybe we'll get there. But I will tell you this. You can watch this show, and the biggest thing that will bother you is that you maybe get offended because we don't toe the line for conservatives or Trump enough. Sometimes we go, you know what? We're not happy with this. And that is why you're offended. But you're not offended because we sit here and go, oh man, all Jews, man, they need to be thrown into gas chambers.
Right.
Or black people need to be, let's go, the white torch and flame will rise again, and Heil Hitler. We'll never
you raise a
embarrass
really
you.
good point, because that's an interesting distinction that we in particular own on the show. We have all heard a lot of celebrities, Nick Cannon or half a dozen of the other nutballs who live out in Hollywood, who will outright disparage entire groups of people.
Right.
And we don't do that. If we're going to judge something, it's going to be, all right, why did you make this choice as a person?
Right.
And was it the right thing to do? That's where we land. I don't give a crap about the color of your skin or your gender or what you decide to ram into what. I don't care. I just want to know that you're going to make good decisions. If we have the ability to do that on this show, then I'll own that. I will own that criticism, and it doesn't matter if it's Trump or Harris or any other politician or actor. Don't care.
We might make some racial comments once in a while, but we spread that equally. We make fun of white people as much as we make fun of anyone else too. So we don't care about that.
Yeah.
But what we're not going to do is sit here and say all immigration needs to stop and we need to deport anybody who's not white out of our country or throw them into a camp. There are people who say that. There's people like Stu Peters and Jake Shields who pretend, oh, I'm just asking questions. No, you are literally, you are a white fucking supremacist. And I have dealt with you people. I used to deal with the Pierpont rats and skinheads and the crazy white boys in California, and I didn't like them, and I certainly didn't like the Nazi youth movement that we saw that rose up in certain parts of the military. We don't like you people. And you guys are extinct for a reason. And we allow you to have small numbers of about 3,000 to 4,000, and the FBI allows you to thrive. But if you really started massing 25, 30, 40,000 people, you fuckers would be in jail in a New York minute. And you know what? Good. Because your time was here, and you are a detriment to our civilization. You are. You people need to be fucking eradicated from the earth.
They are the groups in society, right, that have festered. And if there was one detriment that both Matt and I know he's going to say he agrees with this, if there was one detriment to the ideal of the freedom of speech, it's groups like that.
Yeah, but that's the rub, right? That's the thing. Yeah. But once your speech interferes with my freedoms, it's no longer speech. So that's the greatest thing about our republic, is that it is the individual rights which are first, foremost, and most paramount. We are not about collectivism here. This isn't about group mentality, even though the Democrats want that more than anything else, and not base it on individualism, but base it on collectivism. And we have repudiated that as Americans. Americans were like, no, we are putting Trump in office no matter what, because we are not doing this again. Now, here's another example. Candace Owens. I've been hard on Candace Owens for the last, 7 months. And Candace doesn't care less. She couldn't care less. She doesn't know who I am. I think Candace is a beautiful, intelligent, talented lady who was broken by Ben Shapiro. I think Ben broke her. Just broke her. And her hatred for Ben has turned in, instead of disliking the Daily Wire and their practices about how they treat people, which I'm kind of with Crowder. I think they monopolize and they try to get podcasters and influential people for the lowest nickel. But that's business. That's the way it is, okay? I'm fine with that. But instead of focus on Ben Shapiro, who really leads with Israel first through his mentality, which is fine because I don't care. I know there's Catholics who preach Catholic first. I know there's Baptists and Southern Baptists who it doesn't matter. That's fine. What I have a problem with is that she doesn't focus on Ben Shapiro's elitist attitude. He doesn't focus that he doesn't have an American first mentality. A little bit she does, but she really focuses that he's a Jew. And what's really sad is, why doesn't she just get it over with and call him a dirty Jew? Because that's what she's saying. And honestly, it's a modern day N-word. And as for a black lady who has experienced malicious liberal attacks from about the color of her skin and, saying she's uppity and, and she's a D girl and all this other shit. And then for her to turn around and make it about Shapiro, that his Jewiness is offensive. Because this woman, in just 6 months, has denied the Holocaust, has pushed forward the USS Liberty bullshit, has pushed forward the 9/11 was done by the Jews. She is now pushing forward these whole things that Netanyahu is, and the Jews are responsible for genocide. Not Israel, Jews. So, yes, I understand there's a distinction, but I agree with her that she should make the argument and question Israel's overall reaction. I'm all about it. I understand what happened on October 7th, but they're also killing a lot of people. And you need to understand, Americans did the same thing in Iraq. And we killed a lot of Iraqis for little to no reason. Am I saying the Jews are doing that? No, but I am saying there are a lot. Now, I know the terrorists hang out with civilians. I know all that. But can we look at it? Can you observe it without being anti-Semitic? That's fine. Right. But do you have to do shit like this? Watch this, and you tell me.
Let us pray.
I watched this entire inauguration. It was a great show, and everyone had a blast. Here is Candace on her live show. Now, I put my head down for the rabbi. I put my head down for the Catholic. I put my head down for the Baptists. I think there was Episcopalian or I don't even know. Everybody was there. I don't think he had Mormons there.
Man,
but
up
everyone
with her
else,
shoulders, man. She looks like she's ready to.
Yeah, she's 1980 Vanilla Ice. Folks, by the way, I know everyone's waiting. Donations are at $69.69 because Mr. Stillwell. It's 8 o'clock. We've got about 25 minutes before I bring it up again, but a little slow tonight. Just letting you know they are there, and Olivia is doing it at thedumshow.com. Candace is watching this, and this rabbi comes up, okay? Rabbi comes up, and this is what happened. Here it is.
Let us pray.
You can take me out
Almighty
for this,
God,
Mark.
Your prophet Jeremiah walked the streets of Jerusalem. Experience your love.
So she gets up. Mark, you can take me off this. Now, I want to be clear. Olivia used the restroom in this. We were on for 4 hours. I bowed my head and prayed in each one, no matter what my religious convictions are. And when the national anthem was played, I stood up and I respected the colors. Even though I wasn't in the presence, I'm watching this and I'm going to act the way I taught my kids to act. The national anthem comes on, you stand your ass up. Now, this is what happens. So he gets into his speech and she leaves right when he starts, 12:46. Now watch this.
Your blessing, may it be thy will, and let us say, Amen.
Let us pray for our 47th president. Heavenly Father, we're so grateful that you gave our 45th and now our 47th president.
Right when he comes back, she jumps back into the picture. So Stop Anti-Semitism page says, wow, Candace Owens, notorious for her vile Jew hatred and fragile ego, couldn't even stomach sitting through the rabbi's prayer at Trump's inauguration. Now, I don't think that's fair. You don't know what happened. But she goes, I am so sorry that after 2 hours of live streaming while 6 months pregnant, I asked my Jewish director to take me out of the shot so I could use the restroom. Pregnancy bladder truly is the vilest form of anti-Semitism, to which Holocaust Museum must I donate to make amends. Your entire comment just validates exactly what that troll said. All you had to say was, you know what?
Yeah.
I had to pee. It was inappropriate timing. I'm not going to apologize for it and leave it alone. But you did exactly what he said. Leroy, I know you heard this earlier. Now you get to see it with some context. I know you have an opinion on it. What are your thoughts?
Well, it's interesting. It's like someone threw the bait into the water and she had every opportunity to just blow it off or do exactly that. Just say, yep, had to pee, right? But she didn't. She swallowed it, hook, line, and sinker, as they say. Yeah. And instead of just making it a small deal, she actually went the other direction that made it look much worse. You know what I mean? And I think that she needs to learn timing better, and she needs to learn how to control her reactions better.
I just think she needs to stop hating on Jews because Ben Shapiro broke her. Like you like maybe you can go, go have a moment of shalom and play some dreidel and sit down.
She could have called him out too. She could have said, hey man, I worked for Ben for 2 years. Not anti-Semitic. I worked with the guy,
The answer is not I have a Jew friend. That's not the. It's right. That's like saying I have a black friend. I have a Jew friend. It doesn't mean you can't be a complete cock. What it is, you know what? Can you guys get a life? I had to piss. I'm pregnant. Right. Have you ever been pregnant? Then shut up. I'm a woman. Why'd you even make it about Jews? Because you made it about Jews, and you know why you got up. You know why you got up. And you know why you got up on the rabbi's segment. You had no desire to listen to his I don't even know what the fuck it's called. His address. I don't even know what it's called when a rabbi does that. His hishpa. You didn't take a second to listen to his hispa. So I don't know what it's called. Chutzpah. Stop being a putz. So Rocky Marciano. He beat Joe Lewis's ass. He did beat Joe Lewis's ass. So Candace Owens just needs to go get a cleanse. Is there a Jew cleanse or something she can go to? Put some sage all over her and go take some peyote and sit in a sweat and get this shit out of her system and face Ben Shapiro, and he'll be wearing his yarmulke and a Speedo and, he'll enter through a dream and Candace, I'm here to walk through the valley of Matthew, I am full female. No protruding fun things. Yes, you said he. You're forgiven, not offended by no means. Did I say he? What the hell am I thinking? I know you're a woman. Did I say he? Because, I thought it was JD that did that, not CJ. That's why I mixed it up. Thank you for the donation. I apologize. I know CJ. I think I missed JD and CJ up, and I'm kind of all over the place tonight. I apologize. I usually don't do that. Very, very bad of me. I'm sorry. It's Ben Shapiro's fault. So the next time a rabbi comes on, I'll ignore him. My point is, it's just enough. Just, okay, you don't like Jews. So what? Filipinos are not my favorite type of people on any given Sunday. And it has nothing to do with the race, color, and creed. It just has to do that they monopolize the United States Navy as shop clerks and everything else. And I couldn't get anything. Ever. And you kind of have to pay the Filipino mafia in the Navy to get anything you want. You want to get a haircut. Seriously, he knows. And so I'm not a huge fan. Anyway, here's another thing. Donald Trump wants to be a king. Evelyn says, do you think President Trump and family should have walked out of the church service when, well, I'm going to get to it. I'm not there yet. Yes, Evelyn, we're going to talk about that in a minute. Trump is quite literally a king because of this. Give me a break. I will explain what this is.
That's how they march? I wonder if they got mowed down.
What a stupid fucking song. I mean, seriously. Yankee Doodle went to town riding
see, I understood that to be like the Redcoats.
It is.
Yeah.
Well, hold on a second. They're playing Yankee Doodle. So I was trying to sing it. Yankee Doodle went to town riding on his pony, stuck a feather in his hat and called it macaroni. What the fuck is wrong with people? What? So stupid. Did liberals write this? Let's finish. See, this is how stupid people are. They're like the English. The English. He's pretending he's royalty. Dude, you idiots. It's the Army, Guard, Fife, and the Drum Corps. It's a huge musical organization in the United States Army. And it's like a reenactment. He's not a king. He's going to give up power. For anyone to sit here and think, like, dictator on day one, what did he do that was a dictator? Which country did we invade? How many nukes did we drop? Did we, like, just wipe out a group of people? Did we go and take out the Mormons in Utah and just finally rid the land of Mormonism? What was dictatorish about his first day, besides that he worked his fucking ass off?
Yeah, all day.
All and night. Got done at 2:30, was up at 5 a.m. Homeboy is still going. He's still talking. He has done more in 2 days than Joe Biden has ever done. Yeah. Joe Biden called a full lid at 3 o'clock. Go ahead, man.
One of the, I was listening to the radio on the way home, and somebody had made a comment. I think I don't remember who the hell they said it was, though. It might have been FDR. That there was like 2 weeks that were the most revolutionary of that particular president's, campaign, and I guess it's more famous than maybe I should have known about it. And somebody had made the comment, well, Trump did that in like 1 day, like the same level of accomplishments that some of the other presidents had done in 2 weeks. Trump did it in 1 day. That says something to me.
Well, like I said, the guy had a full lid at 3 o'clock. The guy would wake up at 9. He'd work 6 hours a day, and then they'd put him out to pasture. Set him in front of the TV with some Oreos and some milk and maybe some ice cream on a Matlock episode with a Furby blanket. I mean, come on, man. Amy says macaroni was a person. I don't believe that. And if it was, I don't care. It's a stupid song. It's like Ashes too. Like, bring around the posy.
Rosie. Yeah.
Pocket full of rosy ashes. They all fall down. I'm like, dude, what the fuck, dude? Bubonic plague? I mean, God, it's dark.
Right. Leave that shit alone, man. Leave that in history where it belongs.
So Donald says Yankee Doodle was penned by a British. I don't care. Stupid song. Stupid. If you have to explain the song, it's not a good song. It's a dumb song. Everything English, I can't just. It's an American song. I don't care. It's stupid. It's dumb. Yeah, it sounds like an old English, freaking limey over the pond. See, English. See, like I don't like the English. I like English people and citizens. I don't like the government, and I don't like the crown. Do you know how many people they fucked over? My Scottish and Irish friends and family, they absolutely fucked us in Belfast. In Edinburgh. William Wallace, 7 feet tall, with lightning bolts coming out of his arse. I know William Wallace is 10 feet tall and he has lightning bolts coming out of his arse. So I don't like the English. And that's a whole nother conversation. I didn't like him playing rugby either because we got our butts kicked by him. But anyway. Wait a second. Yes, it was about the plague. Yeah, ashes. Yeah, ashes about the plague.
Yeah.
Yeah. Black plague. Yes. Bubonic plague. Yeah, the official name. I know. I don't like the song. There's a lot of songs that are just, there's a lot of songs that are like that. You're just like, what the fuck? We sang this as kids and our parents let us.
Think about like the Rockabye Baby one. That one's terrifying. Kid falls out of a tree. Good luck with that. Oh.
Yeah, right. But Rockabye Baby in a treetop.
You know, and
when the wind blows, the cradle will rock.
There's a whole slew of these childhood songs that are, if you read the words, they're terrifying.
They're terrifying. They're horrible. It's talking about a baby just cracking its cranium. Look at Little Miss Tuffet. Little Miss Muffet sat on her tuffet eating her curds and whey. Along came a spider and sat down beside her and fucked the shit out of her, according to Andrew Dice Clay. Best one is Jack and Jill went up the hill, both at $1.25. Jill came down with $2.50. What a fucking hoe. It's horrible. Sorry, folks. The show has graduated. Lauren Boebert is calling on President Trump to help the J6 hostages. He gave him a pardon. Is that not enough? Okay. Little boy blue, he needed the money. Yeah, it's good. It's funny. Here's Lauren and calling on President Trump. We're going to talk about the J6 hostages next, after this.
The DUM store is veteran-owned with a 5-star diamond rating for service and satisfaction. We offer quality products like coffee, shirts, hoodies, and hats, all made by veterans. Shop with confidence, backed by hundreds of 5-star reviews. Use code DUM10 to save 10%. Visit thedumshow.com today. Thank you for your support.
Hey, Leroy, what do you... Oh. But am I Jewish? Am I Jewish or something? Did you get up because I'm Jewish?
I had to pee. Don't shame my pregnancy bladder.
That's right. That's right. Hey, my director's Jewish, so it's all good. Here's Lauren Boebert. I should stop calling her. Okay, Lauren Boebert. I can't even say her name correctly. Boebert. Well, Boebert's fine. We'll say Boebert. Here it is.
I like Boebert.
2 hostages here in this jail, and according to the United States Marshal, he's dealing with them one by one and getting all the paperwork. So, I would love for President Trump or Attorney General Pam Bondi step in and help us out here with the U.S. Marshals and make sure that doesn't become a paperwork issue. These men have already paid too much time, more time than they ever should. They should have never been locked up. I was on a news interview and 2 hostages.
Good for her. I don't agree with her, but I good for her. I think it's time already served. I think they've done enough. I think putting them as domestic terrorists was absolutely stupid. I think it was dumb. This was a witch hunt. It was definitely political. It was political lawfare. The government got scared. It wasn't happy. But here I got to give it out to my boy Eli Crane, who did our intro tonight. Listen to this. He's went down with some of the Freedom Caucus members, and you got to love Eli. Here's the video.
Ladies and gentlemen, we're here in the den of liars and thieves.
By the way, Bondi was not confirmed. They have pushed it out another 7 days and delayed it. They put some paperwork. Grassley did it. They pushed it. I haven't found out the entire thing, but they're going to do this. Like, guys, this is just the games of politics. Don't focus on that. Focus on the distractions. Focus on the lies. Focus on the crap that they are not telling us. But here is Eli Crane, Representative Crane, on down on the J6 in the J6 prison in Washington, D.C., and waiting for their release.
I call Congress with Congressman Eli Crane, not a thief, not a liar. Congressman Neil, tell us what the congressman was doing, and then he's going to answer.
You were outside of the D.C. jail. Now, the people, President Trump issues a pardon. Yep. It's immediate release. Right. They haven't released these people. So just tell us what's happening now.
Yeah, so we went down there. Ben Burkholm from Real America's Voice actually texted me this morning, said he was heading down to the jail. And I asked him if I could join him. He said he'd love it if I came down. So I went down, canceled all my meetings, and first I thought we were just going to stand in support with the families and for the release of the J6 prisoners. But we went up and started talking to the folks within the jail, and
someone just racked around. The fuck? I mean, I know they're. I know that there's. It looks like they're in a UDT museum, man. Because that's
you see
Buds,
the frog,
the flippers, flippers right there, and then you see the Buds guys going through.
Exactly.
Yeah. I know this right here. Yeah, so that's Coronado. So something's going on. Let's listen to that.
Tried to get more involved in it. The first thing I did was I called the jail and tried to get more involved in it. The first thing I did was I called the jail's public affairs officers, and she transferred me over to the U.S. Marshals, called them up, and started getting more and more information. And the last piece of work that first I thought we were just going to stand in support with the families, and
it's a door. Okay, so it sounded like someone chambered around, but it's a door. I heard the click. There's the third click. It gave it away. It's a latch. Someone opened a metal door and goes, and then as it goes back in and engages. But it definitely sounded like someone racked.
Pucker you up though.
It sounded like a 22.
Canceled all my and first I thought I went down, canceled all my meetings, and first I thought we were just going to stand in support with the families and
it's a door. It's a door.
The last piece of word that I got before I left was that there were 15 that were going to be released probably tonight as soon as they filed their paperwork, and then I think there's only 6 or 7 left in the jail that are J6 prisoners. So we're making a lot of progress. Another thing that they sent us was the U.S. Marshals sent my office an email earlier saying that they've already released 211 prisoners today. So the good news is momentum is going.
It's across the country. Right?
Yeah, people, the Department of Justice is responding to President Trump's executive order. We got to be patient, but we got to be diligent. We got to stay on top of it so these men and women come home.
Perfect.
Yeah. Leroy, you go first. I think you and I are going to say the same thing here, is knowing the bureaucracy of the federal government, it kind of answers
right.
This isn't hard.
I don't know that this would have been necessarily anything done out of malice. To your point, I think this is just a matter of, all right, now we have to process paperwork. There's going to be a lot of phone calls and websites that need to be checked. And, oh, by the way, before we release you, you're going to need to, you're going to have to sign here, and you're going to have to go through a bunch of legal mumbo jumbo. Sure. So it's not like once the stroke of the pen is done that they're going to just magically fling open the doors. That's not how it works. There's going to be some administrative time behind that. And, bravo to Eli for going down there and overseeing that. And at least,
as always,
pointing out, at least pointing out that, hey, I am here in their support. I think that was amazing. He's a stand-up guy.
Listen, a lot of people are like, well, they've served their time. Let them out. Let them out. It's not that you can't just let 1,500 people out all over the country coordinated. I agree with you. I'm all about it if I was one of them, but they have released a very large amount. Federal government moves slowly. That's all I'm going to say. I'm not making excuses, but Eli, I'm going to trust Eli over everybody. And if Eli says, let's be patient, they're releasing them, then I trust Eli. Eli's never stirred me wrong. He's never said anything to me that I have not been able to confirm, and I trust him. So it's been 4 years. I understand. Everybody wants them home now. They miss Christmas. They miss New Year. I get all that. And I feel for them. But some of them most assuredly did break the law. And they need to be out-processed. And whether you like that or not, I don't care. I'm sorry. It's going to take time. And I don't think it's going to take much more time, because I think President Trump, but if President Trump isn't on the airwaves going, you need to release these people now, or I'm sending in, what do you want to do? Send in the National Guard and start shooting cops? You want to start taking over? Just relax.
This is one of those situations everyone needs to pull back some.
Fucking slow down. Pump the brakes.
Yeah. Let people
relax.
do their job.
It's been 12 hours. Cut him some slack. Dude, I can't get a toilet paper requisition in the military in fucking 12 weeks. And come on, just They're going to get them. They're going to take care of it. But you can't just let them out of prison. They got to be out processed. There's ways to do that. Sometimes there's red tape. Sometimes there's situations. Just relax. It's
that's the speed of government, folks.
Yeah.
If this were done with the capitalistic momentum, right, they'd have been out 6 hours ago. But that's not how it works. You're dealing with the government. If you ordered something from Amazon, it's going to show up at your doorstep before these people get out. Just
Claude says commuted just means time served. That's not true. Commuted means reduced or moved. So a commute is from moving one thing to another. So all you're doing when you commute a sentence is changing the overall decision by the courts when it comes to sentencing. That's all it means. So there's going to be people who are commuted who more than likely will be released from prison. Some of them might be put on probation. Some of them might be put on house arrest. But the charges will still stand. If you've been pardoned, those charges are gone. Like the shaman, the J6 shaman went out and bought guns today.
Yeah, I heard.
He's no longer a felon. He went out and bought guns. He's like, I'm going to go buy some fucking guns. I'm like, so would I. I'd buy a lot of them. And I would disappear and go to the mountains. So let's just relax. Let's just relax, okay? Relax. I like if it's 60 days from now, if it's 2 weeks from now, and they're banging "Swing Low, Sweet Chariot," then we start making some. But until then, let's just relax a little bit. Just slow down.
Right.
It'll get done. Trump will do his job. Let him do his job.
Yeah, we're not quite at the point of escape from Alcatraz yet. Just hold on.
They could have prepared. They have. It doesn't matter. Sorry, there's a process. They're in jail. They'll get out. What do you want to do? You want the U.S. Marshals to go down and start firing? You want to activate the Marine Corps? Relax. It's been 12 hours. What do you want? I'm all for him getting out. I'm with him. But trust me when I say this, they are releasing people. There is a processes. And I'm sorry, but you don't get to say, because Donald Trump said, we can prepare. That's not the way this works. You have to have an order. There has to be a processes. This is the legal system. I'm sorry. It's like listen, after CPS was completely fired and they cleaned out that office and we were exonerated of everything, I still had to wait 6 months for the FBI to expunge my record. 6 months. I didn't get instant gratification. When you got a parking ticket, what was the process? Was it instantly taken care of? No, maybe you got a ticket, you had a court date to go to. These things take time. I'm sorry. I'm not going to sit here and...
I have to imagine that the process, the actual formalized process, probably looks something like, all right, Trump said it. Cool. Now there has to be some sort of documentation that is now going to flow to a federal judge, and then from there to a local judge who will then say, yep, go ahead and let these people out. But even then, it's still going to have to be processed through the police station or wherever they're being held. So there's going to be literally a pile of papers this thick that has to be gone through before these people will, and they will get out, right?
And hopefully very expeditiously.
But it's like going to the DMV. You got to go through the process, right?
Yeah. It just let him, like when I got out of the Navy, I wanted it to be right now. I was like, man, I got college starting. I got to get out. Get me my flight. And the Navy's like, you'll get out when we say you're out. We'll get you out when you say you're going to get out. Your flight, your flight's in 21 days. I know, but then I got 7-day layover when I out process in Bangor and Bremerton. Now what do? You wait. Okay. So what did I do? I did the worst possible. I threw away my uniform, so I couldn't service duty.
Oh.
That was wrong.
Dude.
You shouldn't do those things. But guess what? It got me out processed like 6 days later, because what were they going to do? Put me in the hotel when I couldn't do anything? I couldn't serve? Because I threw away my uniforms. I'm like, hey, man, I'm out. I don't have any uniforms. Like, what do you mean you don't have any uniforms? So this time I left my duty station. I threw them away. I didn't know I was going to be out processing means I had duty. They're like, well, you don't, but you need to be in uniform when you go to chow. I said, why? I've got my military ID. And he's like, listen, dude, it's probably a good thing you're getting out. I said, listen, bro, my body's broken. I'm done. I'm going to the civilian sector and I'm getting out, man. But you know what? I love the Nav. I wish I could stay forever, but I'm broken. I've had enough. and I'm going to go to college, and I'm going to sleep with my fiance every night, and I'm going to go do some cushy contract and stuff. And he's like, I get it. Have a good night. We'll get you out of here next 6 hours. Get ready. You'll be on a hop to Denver, Colorado, straight out of Bremerton. Thanks.
Nice.
Thanks, shit,
Still
mate.
took time, though.
Yeah, it wasn't instantaneous. And listen, I know that
the hoops.
I know these J6. Some of these J6 people were strong arm. I'm not. Listen, guys. The fact that I'm even like, okay, let's let him out. When you know how I feel about J6, you're not going to make me bend on this. It takes a little time. Just relax. Not everything is a conspiracy theory. I'm telling you, the first thing I wanted to say last night when I heard it is like, okay, everyone's going to flip out, but it's not going to happen like that. They're not going to, let's just open up the jail and just let these guys out. That's not the way this works. There's out processing. Right. Some of these things are bigger than others. Some of these are just offenses that really don't need any follow-up. And others, there might be ankle bracelets they need to wait on. They need to get parole officers involved. Some of these people are commuted, so they might need to get the DA involved. I don't know. I don't know what's happening. All I know is that Eli says that it's happening at an expeditious rate that they can. He's went down there. He's checked it out, and he is telling you guys to be calm. You should be calm. Because it's Eli fucking Crane. That's why. You know what I mean? It's 4 years of reserve. Sometimes 8 years of reserve, but 4 years after. So if you do 4 on, you get 4 years of reserve. But I was medically sept. I didn't have reserves. Does that make sense? So, Leroy, 4 years, right? 4 years. Yeah.
Generally speaking, the military is going to get you for 8 years. So if you sign up for 4 years, you'll have your 4 years active and something called 4 years of inactive reserves, where you really don't have to do anything. You might get the occasional pulse check every now and then from some Navy center where they're just going to say, "Hey, are you alive?" kind of thing. And that translates into, well, if I signed up for 6 years, you might have to do 2 years in the Navy reserve, in the inactive reserves. And so it'll always be kind of a cumulative of about 8 years.
And my term is 5, and I would have had to do 3, but because I was medical SEP and
that's
honor, I didn't have to. I would not be recalled. I would not be reactivated. There was nothing. I was done. I was out of the military.
Right.
So, and I talked to my duty station commander, and I said, hey man, do I need to bring all my uniforms and everything? He's like, do you want to keep them? I said, no. He's like, toss them. So I kept my BDUs. But in Bangor and Bremerton, I wasn't authorized. I wasn't attached to a unit where I could wear BDUs. But that's pretty much all I wore were BDUs. I wore my Dixie cups on graduation. My 2 advancements. I got pinned for a couple things. Nothing much. I didn't wear my whites or my dress blues very often. And then I wore them during out processing out of Tokyo because I left in the winter. So I was in dress blues. And I came home in dress blues. And right when I got to Bremerton, I went into the airport, put on a pair of Levi's, I put on a thermal, and I put on one of my flight jackets, and I threw them in the fucking trash at the airport. And I was done. Because I when I got out of the nav, I didn't want to remember. I was so upset that I didn't stay.
I get it.
And wasn't able to stay. I wanted to burn it all. I wanted to burn the whole world. And I feel really bad that I did. I wish I would have kept more. I kept coins and I kept, ribbons and kept ceremonial type stuff and command hats, but I got rid of my uniforms. And I really wish I wouldn't have, but I did. And so what? Okay. Yeah. That's why I so a lot of people are, why, come on, man, didn't you have reserve holes in your story? I was medically sept. We'll be right back.
Join WimKen.com, the social media platform built for free speech and true connection. No censorship, no algorithms controlling your feed, just genuine conversations and a commitment to protecting your rights. Sign up today at WimKen.com and take back your voice. Tell them Matt and the Dumb Show sent you.
Yeah, I've got pictures of me in my blues. I got pictures in BDU. I got pictures in my Good Humor Dixie Cup uniform. Yeah, I've got pictures all over. I got pictures of me in Japan and Russia and Bali and Malaysia, Sumatra, South Korea, all over Russia, Australia, New Zealand, Hong Kong, Bahrain, Germany. I got pictures all over. Yeah, I'll pull up some of my pictures. I got my graduation pictures. Some people see it. It's just not like a lot of people look and go, "Oh, you're a bootlicker, American flag, and you got all your service stuff." Well, not necessarily. I don't live vicariously through my military service. Yes, I've got tattoos that have military, and yes,
Yeah,
but when I go out and I go eat, it's not like it screams Navy veteran. I just don't do that. I will show you. I'm not going to show you right now because I don't have it prepared. I'm not going to go digging through that. We have a show plus 8049, man. I mean, gosh, I'm going to have to pay you guys to watch the show tonight.
What's it going to take? What am I going to do here?
No, I'm not going to say anything. I'm not going to say anything. It's 8:37. We got 23 minutes, and it'll happen. It always happens. I trust these. We're 10 months in a row hitting a goal, and we have hit it every night since we have put on the night. I'm not going to worry. I don't have to worry. But I will. Maybe I'll do a night of service. You can bring in some pictures. I'll bring in some pictures. We'll show.
That'd be good.
Yeah, we'll do something like that, and maybe we can, maybe get Ryan Samuels on here and do some service-related stuff. So Donald Trump. I mean, I have missed the way that he does the press interviews, and I got a clip that just.
You mean
man,
Ryan?
No, it's about Trump. His press interviews. I shifted gears. Like I left that conversation and I moved into the next segment.
It was so fast, and I am so
smooth.
slow that
It was
it was
smooth. It was smooth, and that's just the way it is, buddy. It's just you just grease the wheels, grease the wheels.
Need a little more KY, I think. Yeah.
Laugh it up, fuzzball.
So Benny Johnson put this. I want to give him credit for stealing this clip from the news media and then just reposting it, making money off of it. So I'm going to do the same. But here is an exchange between Trump and a CNN reporter, probably, or MSNBC, or one of the other shitbag news networks. And God, he is masterful. Just watch this. Maybe not.
Gun into the neck of a D.C. police officer who was abducted by the mob that day. He later confessed on video to the FBI and pleaded guilty for his crimes. Why does he deserve a...
Bobby Richardson says, "Climb the pole, Leroy, and I will donate more."
All day.
All day long.
All day. I will rock that.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Had it. Oh, God, that was so good. Now I'm going to stuff my fucking face with Pepperidge Farm.
Well, I don't know. Was it a pardon? Because we're looking at commutes and we're looking at pardons. Okay, well, we'll take a look at everything. But I can say this. Murderers today are not even charged. You have murderers that aren't charged all over. You take a look at what's gone on in Philadelphia. Take a look at what's gone on in L.A., where people murder people and they don't get charged. These people have already served years in prison, and they've served them viciously. It's a disgusting prison. It's been horrible. It's inhumane. It's been a terrible, terrible thing. I also say this. You go to Portland, where they wrapped police officers, shot police officers, nothing happened to anybody. You go to Seattle, where they took over a big chunk of the city and people died. Portland, a lot of people died. Wait a minute. And you go also, take a look at Minneapolis, because I was there and I watched it. And if I didn't bring in the National Guard, that city wouldn't even exist today. People were killed and nobody went to jail.
Thank you, Suzanne.
So these people have already served a long period of time.
I have learned so much from you. Thank you for all you do. Thank you, Suzanne. We learned a lot of stuff from y'all, too, so we love you and appreciate you. Thank you for the donation, ma'am.
The decision to give a pardon. Joe Biden gave a pardon yesterday to a lot of criminals. These are criminals that he gave a pardon to, and you should be asking that question. Why did he give a pardon to all of these people that committed crimes? Why did he give a pardon to the J6 Unselect Committee when they burned and destroyed all documents which showed that they did what was wrong, not me? Wait a minute. Why did they give a pardon to all of his relatives, his brother who made millions of dollars, to all these different people? He gave pardons. That's the question you should be.
So I found one picture with ease, and I'll put it up. There is my boot camp picture.
Aww.
Oh, look at that little sexy little bastard.
You are too cute.
I was.
I'm going to give you an EP on your eval.
They passed me around the birthing unit a lot. So it was spelled with an E when I got in there, but it was an I at the end of it. JD, thank you. Already looking forward to tomorrow's show. Thanks, guys. Thank you, JD. We love you, buddy. Yeah, there's my boot camp picture. I was a young tyke then, and I was a rail. But there's those chubby cheeks, man. Always have them. Doesn't matter. I was 6'2", I was 6'4", and I probably weighed a buck 75.
Oh my!
But
God,
I always I always have chubby cheeks. But then I got those fucking juicy Captain American shots. You know what I'm talking about. I came out yoked and barrel chested, dude. They give you some super serum. My body changed. Like I was a rail. I was so skinny. And then all of a sudden I came out with broad shoulders, big chest. And everyone's like, it's good food and it's working out. No, dude, you're not pumping weights. It's not, you can't transform in 6 weeks and start getting yoked unless they put some super serum in your shit. But there's my young boot camp picture. I got more.
There.
Make it big. There it is. Just a baby.
Oh, it's already big. Oh, wait,
well,
you're talking about him.
Yeah, that's the one thing that always was. No, okay. There it is. Boot camp. Yep. I got plenty. I got hundreds, and I'll bring them to you and show you. Tokyo Disneyland and Disneyland Paris, and we were got it all. Got fun places, and then Perth and Sydney and Brisbane and Vladivostok and Severomorsk and Petropavlovsk, and we went everywhere. Bali was amazing. Anyway, all right. So Donald Trump and his fantastic interviewing skills against these reporters, he really is something special. And I'll tell you, I didn't realize how much I've missed him. Yeah. And he seems to be in his element, you know?
Agreed. I think he has this innate ability to, when he smells like a left hook coming in the form of an interview question, he understands what's about to happen. And he says, whoa, I'm going to reframe this and you tell me what you think is right. Right. And then he will provide on the fly examples to dispute their point.
Right.
And it throws everyone off. Because basically mainstream media, they're not prepared for that. They're not prepared to have their same tactics used against them to refute those points. Brilliant. He's a brilliant man.
He really is. And there's Bobby. Matt and Leroy, you guys are making tonight so much fun. Leroy, can't wait to see you on the pole dancing. 103.48. Thank you, Bobby.
I got you.
I told you I don't worry about them. They just always take care of us. And you know, I think what the fans like the most is to have a good show and then they reward it. You know, they really do. Like yesterday, they gave us almost $1,000 for those shows. Just said thank you. You know, and I don't. I love them. I love them. They're so freaking amazing, and they let us do what we love. And I hope to reciprocate. I hope there's a way that we can give back. I would love to do like a convention of sorts and bring everyone together. And I want to get big enough where we can do that. One of the last videos tonight, and then Libra and I are going to take just, I think just 10 minutes to kind of put it all into perspective over the last 4 years and what we've done on the show and what we can anticipate and some of the hot spots, because it's not all going to be about executive orders, folks. We're going to lose some battles. No. We're going to have some bills that don't get passed. And honestly, there's some conflict coming in this, in our country is going to get into some conflict. And, you might think, well, Trump didn't start any wars. Well, I don't think Trump wants to start conflicts, but he's going to have to flex on Iran. And China, sooner rather than later, is going to have to address Taiwan and Japan, and we are going to be in the middle of that. So here's a video, liberals melting down that Trump signed an executive order that there's only 2 genders. I love this. I love this. Free OnlyFans subscription. I might make that happen for you. Bobby is awesome. Everybody's awesome. Everybody donates. And it's not just one person. Everybody pitches in. We've had a lot of new pitch-ins lately, a lot of donations from first-time viewers. And I think me relaxing a little bit and not being so like, oh, yeah, you want to go? Let's go. You got to find your niche and you got to find who you are. This is a rebirth. I know who I am in the military. I knew who I was in executive management. I knew who I am as a father and a husband. But as I've made changes in all of those different versions of who I am, you have to identify who you are on this show. Leroy's changed. Leroy and I used to combat a lot. We don't do that anymore.
Yeah.
We used to.
Yeah.
But it wasn't negative. It was we're brothers, and we
No,
argue,
no,
we
it
argue a
wasn't
little
like
bit.
that. But we like to, like, if I have a point, I'd like to drag it out logically, and if that encompasses some level of all right, well, let's bounce this down the pinball game and see what happens. We're going to do that, and that's fine. And I think there has to be some level of we were talking about this actually right before we came on air. There has to be some level of, thank you, Michael,
Thanks,
of
Michael.
comfort in the show. You have to be able to own your portion of it and defend your perspective, right?
Right.
And if you can do that logically, and not get too crazily emotional about things, I think you'd be fine. But you have to be able to defend it with facts. That's the problem. So oftentimes we get a lot of people that will come in and they will say, "Oh, I hate this," or "So and so is an asshole," and they'll start name calling, and it doesn't that doesn't help. I mean, everyone can have an emotion. You're certainly entitled to them, but you're basically a slave to the chemistry of your brain at that point. Instead of doing that, take ownership of your brain, work out the math, right? And then come out the other end basically with enough of the algebraic equation to say, all right, this is what I'm saying. This is what I believe in. These are the facts that back it up. Thank you very much. And just, don't be a dick about it,
And people say troll boxing or liberal kung fu. I like swatting trolls, but it's kind of, what, the one thing that I'll tell you about Nick Fuentes, who I don't love, but I talk about a lot of, because I think there's some parallels, is that when he started out, he was always facing people to debate. I have no desire to debate anybody. If I want to hear your opinion, I'll just watch your show. What I really want is to have a conversation where we can connect about things that I've never even heard about you. I like, if I talk to Joe Rogan, I would want to, he'd be like, "Well, you have a question?" "Yeah, I have a question." "Tell me something about you that nobody else knows that I need to know about you." I mean, I know you're a deer hunter. I know you're self-sufficient. I know you take ice baths. I know you lift like crazy. I know you have a kick that would literally cut me in half. I know about Fear Factor. I know about your books. I know about your insecurities. I know about your anxiety. I know all this. Tell me something I don't know. And let's see if you and I have something in common that we can connect on. That's what I like. And fuck debate. Because at the end, debate is just, I've done it my whole life. It's just stupid. Nothing is achieved.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah. No, I agree with you. I was wrapped up in enough of this from about a year and a half ago that I was listening to this Harvard debater who wrote a book, and his name was Bo So, and he won like the world debate, whatever the hell it was. And I got to the end of it and I realized you're exactly correct in what you were about to say. And I forgive me for saying this, but
okay.
I feel like debate, you always have to choose a side. There's always an adversarial side. And you damn well know that those two people that are up on stage, they agree on about 80% of the points. But the only reason they have to debate is because they have to debate.
Right. It's like monkey performance.
And it's one, yeah, exactly. It's a show.
That's right. I have no desire to do that. Like, because there are people who would destroy me in debate based upon the topic. And then there's people, but see, the thing is I won't allow myself to be destroyed in a debate, because there is a wonderful thing you can say. It's real simple. When someone goes, "Hey, you know what? Well, what do you think about?" Actually, I don't. I haven't thought a lot about it. Although I've heard that, and I've heard about it, I can't speak in an articulate fashion on it. So why don't you tell me what you think? And then you can kind of educate me on what you know. And then I can give you an idea of what I think based upon me trusting your opinion, right? When you empower people like that, what's he going to say? "No, fuck you, man. You better." No, he's going to tell you, and you're going to listen. And you're like, okay. And then they're going to say something that you don't agree with and be like, interesting. So I have a question. If the roles were reversed, and that's all it takes.
Ask
and
questions.
There's no debate when you ask questions, because people will expose themselves for being a fraud, or they'll be altruistic. And if they're altruistic, then you gain what you wanted, because essentially if you would have jumped into that, you would have been wrong. And if they're fake, they're going to expose themselves, and then you look magnanimous because they did it themselves. And then they go, "Oh, well, you know what? This was a really good debate. Thanks. I've never had one like this." And you really showed, a lot of... Because I didn't do anything except
we just had a conversation, right?
And you got exposed because you wanted to bait me, and I'm not. You're not going to bait me into this. I don't believe that. I don't believe in that. So anyway, some people say it takes away from the show. I've listened to your feedback. A lot of people said cussing. Naturally, I just kind of moved away from cussing. I've dropped the F-bomb a couple times tonight, but there was a point where it was out of my mouth every 5 minutes, and it turned viewers off. And there's a reason why we had 300 some odd people on tonight, is because we've become more focused on the show and less focused on distractions. And some of that can be personal. We would go way too long, 30 minutes sometimes into a show. We'd still be talking about our weekend. Even though that builds relationships and stuff, people want to hear what's going on. So let's do this right now. Why is it always a nose ring? Last segment of the night. We are still $50 short. We're at $225.07. So if anyone is interested into donating, please let me know. This is Shell
like
Shock.
She needs some Xanax. Yeah.
She needs, this is Shell Shock, spelled with KKK. Don't know what, but I know I love you. Listen to this. I would definitely not swipe left.
Excuse my hair. I just woke up. Donald Trump was inaugurated at 12, and just a few minutes ago, he has now claimed that there will only be the male and female gender that will be recognized in America. This sets back everything that the trans community has been working for, and we have already not been recognized in this.
Oh, Jen, I cuss. I'm just trying to be better at not cussing all the time nonstop, because I'm never going to go anywhere. I will never be invited to an inauguration if I can't clean up a little bit. You know what I mean? I deserve to be there. You know, real quick, I'll go back to this video. Something, the nicest things ever that I got. And I literally, like, you guys saw me break down last night when they were playing and singing the Nebraska choir. It just blew me away. It was so beautiful. And I just let 4 years just kind of come out and wash out. But Ryan Samuels was just randomly searching the internet. You guys know Ryan is a friend of the show.
Mm-hmm.
And Marine and, Jarhead, Leatherneck, Gyrene. And he was just trolling. He wasn't trolling. He was just surfing another site. And somebody asked a question on some rando site, something that I never would see. He didn't tag me. He didn't do anything. Somebody said, who should have their own primetime show or cable news show who doesn't? And he goes, the Don and Friendly Show.
Really?
Yeah. And just rando posted that. Something I probably would have seen if it wasn't literally an accident. Because one of my viewers replied, and I got to see it, and said, this person posted. And I went and saw it, and it was right there, plain as day. And to me, when a peer says that, I've had Ryan Weaver say things like that without me knowing, or Dom, when Dom and I were working together. That Eli has said things on his Twitter. That means the world to me. And when people do that and they represent me out there and put their name on me, that is like the biggest honor I could ever have. No paycheck will ever eclipse that. Because to me, when you can put your name on somebody and trust them to speak or write with your pen, so to speak, beautiful mind reference, it means the world to me. So that was just cool. I just thought I'd tell you that. He didn't mention you.
That is really cool.
Yeah, he mentioned me. He didn't mention.
I still live in the shadows, technically.
No, you don't.
There's a very big part of me that loves the intellectual side of things, but at some point, and this is one of the problems with some level of podcasting, right? Is that in order to be interesting, right, a lot of times you have to show enough emotion, you have to tell enough of your backstory, you have to make things emotional or interesting. And a lot of times I tend to look at things pretty logically. And ultimately, at the end of the day, it's one of the reasons, you could say Carl Sagan was, probably should have had a podcast, but really how many people would have signed up for it, right? When Neil deGrasse Tyson comes on, sure, he has some voice inflections, but, he's not going to pull in the same number of people at the end of the day as a Joe Rogan or a Sean Ryan.
Right. And even though Neil's a total douche, I think everyone should listen to him. He's amazing and he's very smart, but he's a douche.
But my point is that you have to find that line. And I really I really have tried to hone in on the idea that I can flex some of that intellectualism that appeals to me, but still try to make myself interesting, still tell enough about my personal history or anecdotes or things that have happened to me today so that people find some level of, all right, this guy's pretty cool and he's being honest. And really at the end of the day, that's what the show is about. It's about being honest with you.
Yeah. I mean, there's no errors. And that's what I tell people who come on, and there's been people who've guest hosted and stuff, is there's no errors here. You don't have to put on any. Thank you, Ashley Gleason. You guys are the best, Ashley says with her message, and brings us that much closer, $30 away from the big 275. Let's watch the rest of this deranged shit.
Yeah, I want to see this.
Country for centuries. If we remember, gay marriage became legal 10 years ago. We had just earned the right to change our gender on our passports and IDs. Just because I want to identify as a man does not mean I am trying to hurt you. In these next 4 years, you are going to hear the most intense anti-trans propaganda you have ever heard in your entire life. And they're going to strew it in a way that sounds extremely convincing because it will fearmonger. It will fearmonger everyone's insecurities. Please talk to your neighbors, protect your trans community, stay involved, and do not forget us because history will try to erase us.
We can only hope. No, I'm kidding. Paul, 51.99. We are definitely within that target. Got you, brother. Paul says, Paul, thank you so much. Puts us at 297.06. I'm sure.
Paul, I owe you a lap dance.
You better get Bobby a blowjob then, because she doesn't have the material.
Hold on. I don't know if I have any.
I meant the drink
or chapstick.
The drink that you pour the drink. So, is this really the next gay? Is this really the next LGBT? Because what does gay marriage have to do with being transgender? In fact, you guys have piggybacked on the LGBT movement, and really transgenderism is a mental issue, and they are not related. The Debbie Hensley donated 2110. Matt, you're an asshole, and fuck you, Leroy. That's great. Thank you. We love you too, Debbie. You're amazing.
Thank you,
Debbie. You can give a blowjob. She has the material because she's constantly a dick to me. I love Debbie. She's amazing. Go ahead. What are your thoughts on this? Is this really is this the next big? But we're going to look back on slavery. We're going to look back on the Japanese. We're going to look back on American Indians. We're going to look back on transgenders. And be like, oh my God, the transgender. Hold on, the transgender oppression. Autumn harvest. I mean, come on. Are we going to see it? This is a time like an era of tranny hate. Come on, tell me what I need to know.
I think more and more of the realism that transgender, kind of ideology that is piggybacked on the back of the lesbian gay movement, right? And that's important, right? She basically acknowledged.
Read that. Love Leroy, Matt, not so much. Stumpy the dwarf.
When she referenced gay people, she's like, we went from being the gay movement to, people acknowledging transgenderism. All right, well, you're making a distinction there because gay people still live within the binary. Right? It just happens to be two ones that love each other or two zeros that love each other. But you're basically still acknowledging that exists.
That's a good point.
What you have done is said, well, we're not either of those things, right? I am neither in some cases, neither a man nor a woman, or I'm both, or whatever the hell you want to be for that day. Thank you, Mel.
Canadian Squatter Fund. Mel says she's going to squat at my house. She's going to come down here and squat at my house. We love you, Mel. Thank you, ma'am. Go ahead.
And I think what they've done is normalized this idea that because they are one gender that they choose not to identify and may be attracted to another gender or the same one, that they've invented like this third level of, so it's a trinary, right? But that doesn't exist. There is no intermediate gametes between eggs and sperm. There is none. You need those two things in order to make a human life. There is no other third option, right? So what they have done is confused the idea of gender with personality traits, and they've run with it.
So this is going to lead us into the end here of the show. And Maria, beautiful segue, says, what about the preaching in church? She looked like a he and was talking about gays and illegals, and Trump and family didn't look happy. Several people have asked about this, and I told you I'd cover it, and I always keep my promise. Well, that's not true. But most of the time I keep my promises. Actually, it doesn't matter. The point is if you give me money, I'll keep my promises sometimes. So first, Leroy makes an excellent point. And the point is that you have to ask yourself the question, is there a difference between sex and gender? And the argument has now changed that sex is no longer important. In fact, the transgender movement, LGBTQ movement has said that sex is most assuredly binary and sexual reproduction is binary. But it's gender, which is fluid because it is overall a type class that has been created but holds boundaries on it simply because of prejudice or bigotry. Which what you're saying is that because it's a social construct, so to speak, that there are no boundaries to what can and cannot be recognized as a gender. And that complicates things to a level of macro proportions. And the reason why I say that is that exponentially, at some point in history, the genders that you are creating are going to be challenged by the next generation of people who find them too limiting to express their inner psychosis, and they are going to call your 69 genders a social construct and therefore expand them to, 300, and then 1,500. And then by the time we get to a place, we're going to start using alphanumeric references in order to address people's fucking gender. So here's my thought. If you say man and woman is a social construct, then so are the 69 other genders. And if those are social constructs, then why are your social constructs better than the current ones that we have that make it very fucking simplistic? So what you're saying is that you just want to go ahead and make up your own special category to feel special, but want to devoid it of all reality and all context from a scientific perspective and make it a mental choice. Fine. You can do that. But because you have said that social constructs don't matter, but you need to make them what you say is appropriate, then that makes you delusional. And it becomes a mental issue and not one based in fact, theorem, or science. And that's fine. But you just have to admit it's a fucking mental issue. And you and I are good. That way, you can't ask me to join in your psychosis.
One other quick point. I thought about this the other day, long and hard. And I said that intentionally that way. Matt, you have some German, right? You have some German in you.
A lot of German in me.
Do you speak German by chance?
9.
All right. One of the unique things about roughly 44% of the languages in the world, German being one of them, is that when they address seemingly random objects, nouns, so a car, a sink, whatever, you pick the noun, that the German language inherently assigns a gender to each one of those. And isn't it funny that the German language, which has been around for, I don't know, at least 1,000 years, right, has not come up with a third gender to describe any of those. They have some that are gender neutral. That is true. But there is only der and die. And I think it's those two that differentiate between man and if a woman owns it or if a man owns it. And Isn't that interesting? Just that.
Very, very interesting point. Three very good points. Sorry, folks, if you guys ever want to see where my dermatographia, I just rubbed my eye because I had a little water here from the fan, and it's bright red. So that's where dermatographia, it's like you just touch your face softly in some spots, and it'll just become bright red. So I don't know why I thought I'd tell you that, but it'll go away in seconds. But like I can write my name on my skin, and it'll be bright red, and then it just goes away. It doesn't hurt. But when I get a haircut, the same thing happens. When they use the clippers, it looks like literally like a cat just took after my neck. And then like, you know, a little bit after, I don't know why I brought that up. Anyway, here's the service. Donald Trump went to a service. Bishop Marianne Edgar Buddy, of course, 3 names, fearlessly calls out Trump and Vance to their faces. This is heroic. No, it's not. It's not heroic because you're I mean, I hate to do this right away. You're exchanging unpleasantries with somebody who has no chance to reciprocate. That's not bravery. You're hitting somebody. What do you expect President Trump to stand up there and go, "Fuck you, late bishop," in the middle of the congregation? You know, in the house of God, you expect him to bring out your dick and his dick and play swords? Because I know this chick's got a dick. I'm almost confident. So it's not bravery. It's not heroic. Okay? You're not heroic. You're a bishop. All right? And you're supposed to be magnanimous. You're supposed to bring the word of God, not your personal fucking opinions to the table. Here is the 2 minutes and 25 seconds. Then I'm going to show you Trump's reaction. Then we're going to talk about it. Then we're going to go. We'll be out of here by 21:15. Any more donations? Get them in now, folks. We're $3.80. We're $20 away from $4. That'd be an amazing night. Let us know if we can get there. Watch this.
I saw this earlier. It's cool. It's so good.
Let me make one final plea, Mr. President. Millions have put their trust in you. And as you told the nation yesterday, you have felt the providential hand of a loving God. In the name of our God, I ask you to have mercy upon the people in our country who are scared now. There are gay, lesbian, and transgender children in Democratic, Republican, and independent families, some who fear for their lives. And the people who pick our crops and clean our office buildings, who labor in poultry farms and meat.
JD Vance is like, do you know how much shit I'm going to get because I said this church was a good one? I'm the one that picked it on Zulu.
Those are the eyes of someone who is saying internally right now, fuck me.
Yeah, this is my first. He wanted to go and get a burger, and I said, let's go to church. Son of a motherless.
Packing plants who wash the dishes after we eat in restaurants and work the night shifts in hospitals. They may not be citizens.
Look at Trump.
Or have the proper documentation.
Yeah. See, but here's the thing. He gave you 30 seconds, and he was vested, and he was listening to you, and he
blew it,
and you fucking blew it. Yeah. Now he's showing you complete disdain, and this is how I am with people. People are like, why won't you look at me? Like, there's nothing for me to look at. I've already summed it up. I've already collected all the intel I need. I've made my judgment. There is nothing you're going to say that's going to change my fucking mind. You're cooked. Trump is completely. This is the one mannerism that he and I have in common. You know when I'm done with you. Like it is like I'm like this. And then I'm like, you'll see me do this. Like what? And then I'm like, I'm fucking out of there. And when I do that, you're cooked. Here is the rest of it.
But the vast majority of immigrants are not criminals. They pay taxes and are good neighbors. They are faithful members of our churches and mosques, synagogues, wadara, and temples. I ask you to have mercy, Mr. President, on those in our communities whose children fear that their parents will be taken away, and that you help those who are fleeing war zones and persecution in their own lands to find compassion and welcome here.
Is she going to
Our God teaches us
curtail for pedos
that
too?
we are to be merciful to the stranger. For we were all once strangers in this land.
What?
May God grant us the strength and courage.
Looks like fucking Andy McDowell.
To honor the dignity of every human being, to speak the truth to one another in love, and walk humbly with each other and our God for the good of all people in this nation and the world. Amen.
Everyone's like, fuck you. I'm sorry. So I got comments in a second, but pardon me for the language. But that's that's not a bishop, okay? That is a political statement, and as a voter, you should have every right to express your opinion. You are not. You are there for God, and you are there to help your congregation find the path of God. Here is Donald Trump's comment and reaction to the service. Listen to this.
Mr. President, what did you think of the sermon? What did you think of the sermon? What did you think of the sermon?
What did you think? You like it? Find it exciting? Not too exciting, was it? I did think it was a good service, though. Thank you very much.
Thank you, press. Thank you, press.
So he said, "What do you think of the sermon?" And then he goes and goes, "What did you think of it?" You know, kind of waiting. Because I don't think he wanted to say that bishop was a complete dipshit. So I think he was like, "What did you think?" And he goes, "Not too exciting. I don't." And you know what? That kind of speaks volumes of him, because if I was them, I would say that person is the reason why they lost the election. That's what I would have said. People like that lost the election for him. I could have just went to any Democrat and heard the same thing, but he's more magnanimous than that. But in my opinion, and I'm just going to say, I haven't gone first tonight, so I'm just going to go first, and this will end it. Folks, we're $20 away. You make $20, we hit 4, and we can call it good, and I can be happy. I can go to my wife and be like, I had a good night, honey. Here's the thing I'll say. You have a tax-exempt status for a reason. And churches were given very long ago a tax-exempt status if they would agree to not use the church for a political entity and to use it for a political soundboard. And I can go into the Constitution, I can go into the separation of church and state, I can do all these things. And there are a ton of reasons why American politicians specifically did not want another Vatican, where they didn't want to Rasputin, where religious entities had impact. Kennedy was heavily influenced by the Catholic Church. Like, decisions were made on the presidency in Cuba and other things because of Catholic priests and bishops. This is something that you can go back and read all about. But my point is that if you're going to sit behind a tax protection haven when it comes to political, using the pulpit and the dais and using the word of God to direct your congregation to political indoctrination, you should no longer have tax-exempt status. And I believe that the church and the soul is a very separate thing than ideology. One is based on faith, and the other one is based on the illusion of trust. And I don't believe that you should be singling out a person and using the word of God to cast aspersions on them. You should be casting words of strength and guidance and protection, mentioning the assassinations attempts, mentioning the struggles that will be coming up from an economic standpoint, from getting this country back on a religious track, on a geopolitical sense, There were so many things that you could have used the word of God for to be apolitical, and instead you literally sounded like CNN. And I think you should be ashamed of yourself. So, go have confession and count 26 rosary and call me in the morning. Go ahead, Leroy.
Well, first of all, I wanted to point out that was the new Trump. The old Trump, when addressing the media, might have had more choice words. And so the first thing that I would point out is the distinction between what most people would have seen in old Trump and how he probably would have addressed the media in a more harsh tone.
Yeah,
so in a lot of ways, Trump has learned and now is playing a much stronger game. He was able to roll that right back to the media. Thank you, Kevin. And left them with nowhere to go with it. Now, that being said, the pastor, was it a bishop?
Bishop.
It was a bishop. Okay.
Bishop.
I don't think that the bishop there cleared her sermon necessarily with the likes of the Pope, because the one thing that we can count on around the Vatican and around a lot of the religious institutions that exist within the Catholic institution is that they all have walls and fences. And it would have been an easy enough point to say, well, most of the people that want to get into the churches are not criminals. They are only good-meaning people, and yet you still have fences and walls. And not only do you have fences and walls around your churches, but we also encourage around places like Israel for a reason. And so I would have at least been curious to know how that vetting of that conversation would have played out had she said, hey, your eminence, I'd like to discuss these lines with the incoming president. What do you think? And then finally, I would top it off with Proverbs 23:10-11 that says, do not move ancient boundary stone or encroach on the fields of the fatherless, for their defender is strong, and he will wake up in their case against you. So there is some level biblically endorsing the idea of fences and walls. And I would like to see her navigate that and maybe put a little thought into it before she tries to give a political sermon or lecture to the president. That was an abuse of her power. That was an abuse of her moment where she could have very easily said, you know what, sir? We respect you and we want you to do well for the American people, and just left it at that. She could have said, let's have a moment of prayer in support of the president, but she didn't. She tried to make a political statement, and she made a fool out of herself in doing so.
And this was the last one. And before that, yeah, Kevin and Glenn. I just want to make sure. Glenn, thank you. I gave you the salute, but thank you very much, Glenn and Kevin, both for your donations. That was a crappy benediction. A lot of people are saying it wasn't a Catholic church. I don't know. I don't know. Theology is not my strongest point. When it comes to organized religion, we can talk about Bibles, we can talk about different religions, but when it comes to churches, I'm not a church guy. So I thought bishops were in Catholic, Roman Catholic. I don't know. It doesn't matter. The point is that was a bishop.
That on a chessboard.
Yeah. It's an Episcopalian church. Okay, whatever. I don't know the difference, and I don't care. Sorry, I'm not trying to be rude. I don't. This has nothing to do with which denomination. This has to do with that churches and religious institutions are tax havens for a reason, because they're not supposed to get political. And that benediction was trash. That was not a benediction. That was a political speech, and it was Episcopal. Okay, I don't know the difference. And honestly, I love you all. I don't care, because I am not an organized religion guy. I don't believe in the churches. I think your four walls is where God is the most prominent. and in your heart is where he is the most prominent, and you can talk to God anywhere. You don't need church. Community is great. I love communities. I'm not a big fan on organized like mega churches or giant. I'm not into that at all.
Same.
So I don't study it. I don't learn anything about it. And I don't care. That's all. Not Catholic. No women bushes. Whatever. Don't care. I'm good. Don't care. I don't get in the religious stuff unless it's about talking about God, talking about the Bible. But churches, I just, you guys know my story. Not a big fan of the churches. Leroy, 1 minute. Take us out of here. Take us home.
Oh, what a good show. You know, I scribed some notes at the beginning and during the segments of every show. And in the case of this one, we talked about a little bit about how, Elon is apparently, being mislabeled as something that he's not because of the way he treats his hands and his appreciation for the crowd. We talked a little bit about the 22 states who want to sue Trump over the 14th Amendment and whether or not it means that, if you're born here, are you automatically an American citizen? Is he going to challenge that? Maybe. Something that we didn't talk about real quick, just in my remaining 30 seconds, is there is a rumor going around in Ohio that Vivek Ramaswamy might be interested in taking up the governorship here in Ohio. So he might be running.
It's confirmed. Yeah, he bought. He has put his name on the polling stations. So he is buying up. So he's running.
Yeah, interesting. Beyond that, it was latter half of the show. We talked about some of the other stuff. We talked about church and
stuff.
Good show. I loved it.
One thing I didn't mention is right before the show, Donald Trump came out with an infrastructure focus on creating super data centers and leading the world in AI with over, I think it was close to $600 billion in investments from OpenAI and Oracle, and the one Japanese investor that he uses is putting $200 billion, but a very large investment over the next few years, which is going to take a very large energy investment to run these data centers. A lot of people don't know Virginia is literally a giant data center on northeastern, northwestern Virginia. We are nothing but data centers out here, and it takes an extreme amount of power. But Donald Trump wants to lead the world in AI, and I think it is an amazing thing. Creates 100,000 jobs. So it's something we'll talk about tomorrow in more depth with Olivia, myself, and Amy. But I just wanted to thank Leroy. It was a good show. I always love our shows. I missed you last week. I really enjoy our Tuesdays and Thursdays. It's nice just getting rid of all that freaking estrogen and getting it out of the show is really.
Just blowing our lines, yeah.
Jeez, just seriously. I just want to sit down when I pee after every show with those girls. So it's really nice to cut bait. You're not going to get it. Yeah, my wife's going to kill me too. All right, everybody. Thanks for watching. We'll see you tomorrow night at 7 o'clock. God bless. Leroy, have a good night.
Love you guys.
All right.
Yeah,
see you
too,
guys.
man. Peace out.
Bye. See ya.
Adjusting transmitter output.
This is the Don't Unfriend Me Show with your hosts, Matt, Leroy, Amy, and Olivia. Geopolitics, military analysis, and election coverage. Coming to you live on all major social media channels at The DUM Show. Honest, direct, unfiltered. We can agree, we can disagree. Just don't unfriend me.